Well, hello there. Today we are going to be playing Pure Rock Crawling. It is a Steam game I kind of picked up on a sale, and even though it's kind of a jank game, I still very much want to play it, at least for a little bit, and see what it has to offer. Now, how this game works, for the most part, is that we just have our silly little car with a bunch of intricate physics, right? The tires deform and there's suspension, and we can go into lock differentials and low range and 4x4, a lot of stuff. There's also a bunch of challenges. Yeah, it's basically budget SnowRunner. Except it doesn't really do delivery missions. Instead it's just hey, you have a silly truck that you can upgrade, and here's a bunch of terrain for you to navigate. Good luck. But what's here, I think it's pretty nice. The physics feel good. And yeah, the actual challenges, more or less you just have to pass through gates. And you can't hit them. If you hit them, you lose points. And of course, the terrain does get a little bit challenging to navigate at parts. And not hitting the gates, freaking difficult. Oh no. We might need to upgrade our truck as well, but we'll get there. Just stay in the first gear, for real, for real. There's also a bunch of different maps, and the game itself is still getting new updates and stuff. So in that regard, pretty nice. What was kind of surprising though, was the sheer amount of content updates it does get. The cars that you can customize, all of the parts and everything. There's a lot of stuff there. I don't know how many people developed this. I get the feeling that it's very much a small team, but good frickin' job. The last time I tried making a car game in the Unity engine, the wheels rotated sideways and the car would occasionally fly. Also, look, the frickin' suspension. It's actually pretty nice. 85. Oh yeah, and we do earn money, which we can then use for the upgrades. Now, I think it's a little bit interesting that we don't really have to worry about... What? What do you mean we finished it? We were just starting. I was gonna say that I think it's a bit interesting that we don't really have to worry about stuff like fuel in this game. That would probably be even more interesting, like in SnowRunner. Or for example, if you have the diff locks on and 4-wheel drive and whatever, that can actually impact how much fuel you use. I think that was a pretty cool mechanic. I keep wanting to look around to get a better look at how the physics work, but sadly that also makes me hit all of the cones. There we go, not so hard. SnowRunner is real comfy until you bite off more than you can comfortably chew. I mean, there are some DLCs that do make SnowRunner way easier. Even though you don't have all of the tires unlocked at the start, the tire DLC, oh my gosh. And also, I kind of go to the Russia region, I guess, Taimyr, or whatever it was called, and you can get some pretty nice trucks there. And then you can bring them over to Alaska and other regions. And holy frick, I love the game. There's even a bunch of mods. Also, surprisingly, the multiplayer in SnowRunner, really freaking nice experience. I did play it earlier in the week with some friends. You just kind of put it on and vibe and zone out. And there we go. 85%. That's okay. If you do something a bit too silly, like flip the car, let's actually try. Why not? Yes, there we go. Yeah, technically we're stuck. We can always recover at a trailer. So instead of garages, how you do it in SnowRunner, you can instead get a trailer. And you can attach it to your car and bring it wherever you want. So it's like a mobile spawn point, which honestly, freaking cool idea. I vibe with it. Oh yeah, also, since getting the new GPU, Like, recording and streaming is actually so much easier to do. Especially with the new CPU as well. I very much vibe with this computer. I honestly do wonder how someone can even, like, develop a game that does have all of the fancy, like, soft body physics. Because there's, like, a bunch of freaking maths behind making, like, a tire deform like this and also have a vaguely realistic, you know, force on the car itself. And then there's, like, different types of suspensions you can swap out for the trucks as well. Like, it's so freaking cool. I will say that I do love a good arcade game as anyone else, but the fact that games like BeamNG Drive even exist is freaking amazing. And yeah, there's like various different libraries and assets, even people trying to make open source ones, for example, for Godot, you know, the engine. It has like a big project around it. But it is so freaking cool that this works in most engines and people somehow make it happen, and that is so nice. Also, yeah, we can mess around with the truck a whole bunch. I did go for the old-timey tires because kind of funny. We might just put on freaking tractor tires because why not? Oh yeah, and there's like different types of like skins for the actual truck. Like, how freaking nice is that? Honestly, even if this was an asset flip in some regards, it would still be a good one. Although, I feel like nowadays everyone's super critical of like, oh hey, this game used some assets, it's an asset flip. Whereas in actuality, sometimes that just makes a project like viable altogether. In this game, I know for a fact that the terrains they use come from like the mega scans or whatever. So photogrammetry, where they scan like actual rocks and actual terrains. Because modeling all of that from scratch would be kind of tiring. And yet, in a game like this, that works really nice. Yeah, exactly. Now, I don't know, I guess also with the advent of AI and related stuff, there's gonna be some really freaking split opinions on everything. Like, you know, how ethical all of that can be. I know for a fact, though, that a lot of developers, like, who write code, they do use a lot of, like, AI tools as basically an autocomplete. When it comes to art, though, it is, way more tricky and problematic often. Which is unfortunate, you know? You doubt that we're gonna see too many people use AI heavily in their games or other art? I will say that I have seen some people use AI-related stuff to great effect, but the difference was that they did pay a lot of attention to the underlying technology, and they did treat it as basically a data science problem instead of just typing something into a simple prompt and expecting good results. So I will say that AI can be very effective, but only when used with a lot of care, as opposed to something that's used as a way to commoditize and cheapen work that actual people would do. Which unfortunately is the majority of how people use it. As an artist, I think it's okay to use AI, but it can't be used maliciously. No need to hurt someone with it. I mean, I think it's a really multifaceted discussion, because, for example, if I want emotes and stuff, I have the option to pay someone and basically be a patron of the arts, and, you know, the same goes for any other sort of graphic design thing I might want to do. Or, alternatively, I might just generate stuff. And sometimes it might be okay to do when it doesn't have a bunch of ethical problems, like if you're a broke student who literally can't afford anything, or like, you know, a broke game dev who doesn't really have the secondary source of income to make that sort of thing possible. But it can also be very unethical. Where the frick am I driving? It can also be very unethical when you're like a corporation that just wants to cut costs. Yay, patron of the arts. So I think you're right. It depends on how it's used. And not paying people for their work and trying to replace them altogether, that is very sussy-wussy. Do not approve. Yeah, also the whole copyright thing where corporations train the models on open data sets, which don't have mechanisms in place to disallow them to be used. Because hey, how are you gonna say that AI has stolen your particular artwork? Because the actual data sets aren't published. But at the same time, they don't have an explicit agreement to have that art be used. So in other words, they're just stealing. And it doesn't seem that there's anyone who's gonna do like a freaking class action lawsuit or what have you. And what happens then is that the people using the AI model, they benefit from your work without you getting any of the actual, shares or royalties or what have you. I think a lot of the same happens with some of the open source projects out there, to the point where in recent years, some projects have changed their licenses just so these large tech companies can't say that, hey, this is mine now, and people are gonna pay me a bunch of money. There's not a lot preventing them from just taking like an open source database and using it themselves and taking all of the money, even though a lot of other people have put in a bunch of work. Also, it's kind of funny that in the past week, well, at the time of like this being streamed or recorded, DeepSeek came out, and they basically stole a lot of like OpenAI's work, and OpenAI's like, oh no, how dare you steal from us? Whereas, they stole a lot of stuff themselves. Also, I actually did run DeepSeek as a model at work, because a lot of companies out there that like develop code and software, they want on-premises alternatives. So all of their like secret proprietary code doesn't just get sent off to like OpenAI and other platforms. Sometimes it's like a legal thing. And it's kind of amazing that you can have a lot of models and run them locally. Only problem being that GPUs are freaking expensive. Goddamn, NVIDIA, why? I think it's robbers all the way down. I'm just imagining a lovely like raccoon or something with an adorable mask and a coat, which is just more raccoons on the inside. Also, I'm surprised that people are dropping by for a stream of this silly goofy game and me just kind of yapping about everything. Oh, and later after the stream, I'm watching some secret level with my friends. It's a really cool like show of like, well, I guess mini series of various video game crossovers and stuff. Very, very nice, and it even has one with Keanu Reeves. Oh, damn it. I am kind of fudging this up. We still got this. There we go. That was kind of bad. Maybe one more track and then I'm switching to a different car. Oh yeah, there's also some additional like old streams coming up on YouTube. I think at the present time we are kind of a month behind the stuff I actually stream. That said, I still enjoy playing all sorts of like random niche indie games. My favorite genre. Okay, yeah, I don't think this truck is doing this one. Come on. No, I think we're stuck here. Damn it. Let's go to the garage and see whether we can do anything about it. Because actually, there's a bunch of trucks. There's like a longer pickup truck. There's like a different one that could be pretty good for rock crawling. There's a buggy, a dune buggy, and an old-timey freaking, I don't even know. Maybe the buggy. Let's go with that. And I think they all share the types of tires that you can put on. I think I'm gonna go for tractor wheels because they're not too wide. Otherwise, we'd have to worry about knocking things over. This looks fine. But yeah, the customization is actually really freaking chill. I vibe with that. Oh, frick. It doesn't flip itself over. So it does feel like it's a little bit faster. And really loves the tip. Kinda need to be more careful with this. Okay, this time we gotta win. I say as I get stuck in the exact same position. Oh no! Maybe it's just a matter of the angle. We can push off the left side. I say as I flip over. Damn it! I feel like if I hit it right smack dab in the center, I would be able to climb up. But everything's too slippery and the tractor wheels don't work. What if I just drive from the other side? Let's just be a little bit smart about this. And oh, task completed, 16%. We just skipped out on all of the track. We can start it from this side though, I think. Yeah, there we go. So maybe it literally wasn't designed to do it the way I tried. Oh well. We might need new tires. There's like no traction whatsoever. Rock wheels. Honestly, yeah, let's go with this. Holy frick, it's actually a little bit easier with these tires. They work really nice for rock crawling. Who would have known that in a game named Pure Rock Crawling, the rock tires would be a good option. Hey, we can actually go up now. This is so freaking nice. Yoink and yoink. There. Done. Right? No? Wait, why aren't you... What? I think we kind of broke it. The frick? Okay, let's try this again. Okay, up here. Then here. So far, so good. I'm not really getting the little, like, notifications about every gate that I pass. Oh well. There we go. Finally. Hardest 850 credits ever. So there's the canyon one. There's the forest. There's winter. And there's a mine, like a ghost mine. I want to see the winter. Oh, that's snowy. And I have like no traction. Interesting. Each of my tires seem to be pointing in slightly different directions. What? I think my buggy's a little bit broken. The frick? It doesn't go straight. What? Okay, what if I change the vehicle to something else and then go back? No, it still is freaking broken. Okay, 5-link rear suspension. Okay, the 5-link suspension seems fine, but if I switch the rear one to like 2-link, then it's like completely borked. The frick game. Okay, 4-link should be fine. Let's go and look for some missions. Up. Oh wait, there's like a really long road one. Oh, and there's like ice. We're gonna do so many freaking donuts. I vibe with how jank this game is. South Road. Oh, that's no road at all. The frick. This is how my parents must have gone to school. Uphill, both ways. For real, for real. Honestly, it's super cool to just find games that basically no one knows about, but that some developers have clearly put, you know, a bit of effort in. You just wait until I start revisiting, like, Slav jank games from the early 2000s. I do feel like there's a sharpening filter in this game that you can't turn off. Like look at those, trees. They do look a little bit odd. But hey, whatever the devs wanted to do, that's fine. That is their choice. Oh. Bit of a silly situation. Oh no. Or not, I guess. Oh, wow. Honestly, look at those physics. It's so freaking nice. I still don't remember if this did have a proper damage system. I'd need to drive off a cliff to find out. It might just be me misremembering, but I think if you took that like default car you had and you flipped it a few times, it had some like deformation. I'm gonna find that out eventually. 87%! Nice! Okay, this one doesn't deform. What if I get this one and do a big ol' freaking noom off a mountain? Nothing. What if I take off the roof bits? Adventure rack, hardtop. We're doing like important science here. Nothing either. I might just be wrong. Maybe there is no damage model. Yep, no damage. Well, that's something for the developer to work on then. Imagine how cool this would be if you could have actual parts getting like bonked and you know. Okay, so fast travel. There's also the canyon and the ghost mine. Let's go and have a quick look, shall we? So it's like a smaller map, but the terrain is a bit more interesting, I guess. Oh no, this is actually really chill. The only things in our way are like tiny rocks. I'm not afraid of tiny rocks. We are hitting like all of the cones, but that is fine. Oh, there's like a little railroad? Did they used to have some mines up in here? Very much might want a different vehicle here though. Feels like this needs a bit more patience than I have right now. Okay, let's actually try doing one super carefully, where we don't hit the cones. This might actually be a game that's really cool with a proper like steering wheel and some, you know, pedals. Because this does strike me as the kind of scenario where you absolutely want more control than like a regular keyboard would give you. Maybe a controller could be fine for this. Also, yeah, I have to say, as an Unreal Engine game, you can actually zoom in on like every bit of rock, and it is pretty detailed. Good job on that. I just wish that most Unreal Engine games didn't struggle to run so freaking much. Oh damn, we're supposed to go up there somehow. There. Oh, this does get more difficult. Damn. Okay. Okay, we are still hitting the cones. I can't do much about that. 95% though. That is kind of good. I wonder what is the easiest and the hardest truck to actually do races with. Because this one, I think the short wheelbase is actually working in our favor. Mostly because we have a decent like turning radius. And we don't have to worry too much about hitting everything. Like it's not too wide, it's not too long, it's reasonably easy to maneuver. Although the regular pickup, honestly, probably a bit worse in that way. Okay, 88. So let's go and actually switch over to that pickup. Like I wanna try this one. Oh, we can be American. Don't mind if I do. Oh, this is so tacky. Yeah, of course we have to go for this. I do feel like this is gonna make things way more difficult. Oh, but listen to that engine. Freaking like Vice City sound, for real, dune buggy. Okay, yeah, we're gonna be hitting a lot of cones. It is what it is. Because this thing is way longer and actually more difficult to maneuver. It's interesting that none of these seem to be like timed. So you can take as much time as you want and be as careful as you can. And I do think that this is where I am going to wrap it up. This has been pure rock crawling. And honestly, for a rock crawling game that's made by, you know, a relatively small group of people, I think it's a pretty nice experience. Aside from that though, thank you all for dropping by today. Oh wow.